जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारि। यशोदानंदन व्रज रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारि। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारि। यशोदानंदन ब्रज रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारि। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधा। जय राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधा। जय जगन्नाथ जगन्नाथ बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा। जय जगन्नाथ जगन्नाथ बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी नयनपथगामी अवतुमे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी नयनपथगामी अवतुमे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी नयनपथगामी भावतुमे। Nitai Gorango, Nitai Gorango, Nitai Gorango, Gaura Hari, Jaya Sati Nandana, Jaya Sati Nandana, Jaya Sati Nandana, Gaura Hari, Patita Pavana, Patita Pavana, Patita Pavana, Gaura Hari. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय 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 गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल। श्री श्री राधा गोपी वल्लभ की जय, श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय, श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय, श्री निताय गौरंग भगवान की जय, निताय गौर हरि प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन मयि श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रये। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गो ब्राह्मणाहिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। यतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहाद्भवग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरिव चन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुधिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वत्मस्थपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनं। नाम बहुड़ानि च सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रातिपानियमितस्मरणेन काल एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमिदृशम् इह जानन्यनुरागः। तृणादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना माननीय मानदेन कीर्तनय सदा हरि। न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतद्भक्तिरहोैतकी त्वयि। मयिनन्ततनुजकिङ्करपतितमां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजधूलिसदर्शं विचिन्तया नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदरुधाय गिरापुलकिर्मिचितं गदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति। युगायितं निमिषेण चक्षुषा प्रवर्षायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दं विरहे नमे आश्लिष्य वा पादरतं पिनस्तु मामादर्शनं मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा विधतो लम्पतो मात् प्रणनाथस्तु हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे हुकुम करोति वाचालं पुंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं श्री परमानन्दमाधवं चैतन्य ईश्वरम् ओम पवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यत् स्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्ष सभ्याभ्यन्तरं शुचे श्री विष्णु श्री विष्णु श्री विष्णु Hare Krishna. Prabhuji and Mataji, can you all hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Is it loud enough? My audio loud enough?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Praveen Prabhu, Suma Mataji, Shilpa Mataji. Thank you for arranging today morning's program, for joining. Santosh Haitir Prabhu and whole family. Dandot Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Nice Prabhu, Prashanti Mataji, Dandot Pranam, Sanjay Prabhu.
Dandas Prabhu.
And let us all wish happy Krishna conscious appearance day, birthday to Brahmaramba Mataji, who is here today.
Haribol!
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Happy
Haribol,
Krishna
Haribol.
Conscious birthday, Brahmaramba Mataji.
Thank you.
Happy Krishna conscious birthday,
Prabhuji, I did not tell to anyone.
It came in the newspaper, Mataji.
Prabhuji.
We have a separate Krishna conscious newspaper.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. May Lord bless you with lot of energy, strength, enthusiasm, and good health, so you can connect many souls to Krishna consciousness, and you also go back home, back to Godhead, Goloka Vrindavan. That's our prayer. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So, Prabhu, that newspaper name is Vigyan newspaper.
Vigyan newspaper.
Mother work Vigyan also.
Haribol. Yeah. So, Akinchan Priya Prabhu, Shubha Kumari Mati, Dandot Pranam, Shirsha Mataji, Satya Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Priya Mataji, Lovesh Prabhu, Dandot Pranam. Raju Prabhu, Shirsha Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Hari Prabhu and Mataji. Hari Prabhu and Dandot Pranam. Hare Krishna. Anupriya Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Shri Giraj Prabhu, Lavanya Mataji, Dandot Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Akhila Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Vanilla Mataji, all existing, all pervading, omniscient, omnipresent, Vanilla Mataji, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Swapna Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Madhusudan Prabhu, Dandot Pranam. Hare Krishna. Subara Prabhu and Nirupa Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Thank you for joining.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Vani Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Madhavi Mataji, Dandot Pranam. And Sandhya Mataji, along with Pawan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
So happy to even read all your names. So fortunate to be among all of you. It's a big family that we have. It's a very big family, Krishna's family. Vasudeva Kutumbakam can be felt just by all your association. So I'm very grateful, Prabhuji and Matajis, for your kind association. So today's chapter is chapter 22 of 4th canto. It's a very important chapter. There are many lectures and sadhus who have read this chapter, commented on this chapter, and I don't know how to finish or even speak about this chapter in one class. I would definitely recommend everyone to read this chapter in and out. We'll read one of very good shlokas that I have, whenever we do Bhagavatam welcoming, we take one of the shlokas from this chapter. And I thought I will repeat that shloka. I'm not very eloquent in reading that shloka, but let me try. It is shloka 47, Canto 4, chapter 22, shloka number 47. यैरिदृशी भगवतो गतिरात्मवादा यैरिदृशी भगवतो गतिरात्मवादा एकांततो निगमभि प्रतिपा प्रतिपादिताना एकांततो निगमभि प्रतिपादिताना तुष्यन्तु अभद्र करुणा स्वकृतेन नित्यम् तुष्यन्तु अभद्र करुणा स्वकृतेन नित्यम् को नाम तत्प्रतिकरोति विनोदपात्रम् को नाम तत्प्रतिकरोति विनोदपात्रम् यैरिदृशी भगवतो गतिरात्मवाद एकांततो निगमभि प्रतिपादिताना तुष्यन्तु अभद्रकरुणा स्वकृतेन नित्यम् को नाम तत्प्रतिकरोति विनोदपात्रम्. So this is same Canto 4, chapter 22, shloka number 47. The reason I chose this shloka because this shloka is kind of the essence of the entire chapter. The conversation between Prithu Maharaj and the four Kumaras. So here Prithu Maharaj is saying, translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please, everybody listen attentively. Translation and purport. Prithu Maharaja continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service, I'll start again. Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction. Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society, out of their unlimited mercy. Purport. Great personalities of the material world are very eager to render welfare service to human society, but actually no one can render better service than one who distributes the knowledge of the spiritual realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All living entities are within the clutches of the illusionary energy, forgetting their real identity. They hover in material existence, transmigrating from one body to another in search of a peaceful life. Since these living entities have very little knowledge of self-realization, they're not getting any relief, although they are very anxious to attain peace of mind and some substantial happiness. Saintly persons like the Kumaras, Narada, Prahalada, Janaka, Sukadeva Goswami, and Kapila Deva, as well as the followers of such authorities as the Vaishnava Acharyas and their servants, can render a valuable service to humanity by disseminating knowledge of the relationship between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity. Such knowledge is perfect benediction for humanity. Knowledge of Krishna is such a great gift that it is impossible to repay the benefactor. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj requested the Kumaras to be satisfied by their own benevolent activities in delivering souls from the clutches of Maya. The king saw that there was no other way to satisfy them for their exalted activities. The word Vinodapatram can be divided into two words, Vina and Udhapatram, or can be understood as one word, Vinodapatram, which means joker. A joker's activities simply arouse laughter, and a person who tries to repay the spiritual master or teacher of the transcendental message of Krishna becomes a laughing stock, just like a joker, because it is not possible to repay such a debt. The best friend and benefactor of all people is one who awakens humanity to its original Krishna consciousness. Yairidrishi Bhagavato Gatiratmavada Ekantato Nigamabhi Pratipaditana Tushyantu Abhadra Karuna Swakrite Nanityam ko naam tat pratikaroti vinoda patram. Translation: Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. Hare Krishna. So, this is a very humbling, verse, which should make us all think how fortunate we are. On this Ekadashi morning, let us all feel very fortunate that we have got association of such sadhus. Very fortunate, extremely fortunate. Because Prithu Maharaj is telling here how fortunate he is feeling by the audience of the four Kumaras. Right? I would like to take this opportunity, and I also request all of you on the call on this beautiful Ekadashi day to close your eyes, fold your hands, keep them on your heart, and pray for all those gurus who have come in your life and who have given you the spiritual knowledge. Because all of them are representatives of Vyasadeva, are representatives of the four Kumaras, representatives, of all the Vaishnava Acharyas who come into our life and who have given us what we are today, what we are discussing today, completely inaccessible things we are in touch with. Though totally unqualified, we have been made to be in touch with. So let us pray. I would personally want to remember His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, without whom I don't know what this planet would be. I would also be very humbly grateful and with all my obeisances to my spiritual master, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and also to all the other spiritual masters who Srila Prabhupada has left on this planet, who are also delivering conditioned souls, and whose audience has definitely helped me progress in my spiritual life. I would like to remember, a day would not go without remembering His Grace, Yugal Kishore Prabhu, whose lots of sacrifices and austerities have benefited so many conditioned souls, including me. I would like to remember my Siksha Guru, His Grace Srinivas Acharya Prabhu, and Radhika Kripa Mataji and their whole family, who allowed me, an animal, into their house and gave me a human birth. I would like to remember His Grace Radhesham Prabhu, who is continuing to bestow His unlimited mercy on me and my family, though we are not qualified in any way. And I'd like to remember every Vaishnav who has come into my life, who has inspired me, reminded me, reiterated it to me that spiritual life is the most important aspect of one's life. I pray to Lord Krishna that I receive their association always and never forget what I have received from them, and never feel that I'm unfortunate, because nobody can be more fortunate than me, who has received the mercy, the association of such wonderful people who are continuing to come into our life at the right time, at the right moment, being sent by the Supreme Lord to help, to save, and to fulfill the immediate needs that we have, spiritually also, emotionally also. And I'm also grateful to all the wonderful Vaishnavas whom Lord Krishna has sent into my life, who are on this call. And some of them may not be on this call, but I want to remember them today and thank them with folded hands, that without you, there is no hope. There is no hope for any spiritual progress or any connection with the Supreme Lord. Thank you very much. Happy Ekadashi to everybody on the call. Because this chapter is about sadhus coming to Prithu Maharaj's kingdom. So I'm going back to the first verse from where the chapter starts. I would recommend everybody to read this chapter verse by verse, because Prabhupada has poured his heart into the purports. I felt I was actually contemplating yesterday, how should I even do this chapter? Because each verse purport is poured with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. It's literally poured with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, like how can we even skip these purports? And if we read this purport, maybe this chapter will go on for months, because each purport has so much to give. Prabhupada has literally poured everything into this. So I would recommend everybody to read the purports individually. And the way I want to go through this chapter is go through the translations and some parts of the purports where I felt some special mention is needed. Everything is needed, but very rarely I've seen chapter where every verse has a big purport. This chapter has every verse which is a big purport. When I say big purport, at least a page of purport, right? I mean, like at least like 300-400 words. Some of them maybe have 200 words, but most of them have big explanations. Why? Because this chapter actually explains we grahastas how we have to appreciate the association of a sadhu in our life, right? How much we should be grateful for the sadhus in our life. So the scene is Prithu Maharaj has finished his yajnas, and that 99th yajna that he finished, and Indra came to stop him, and then previous Prabhuji have already covered this, and then Lord Brahma comes and says, don't do the last one. And Prithu Maharaj, with no fault of his, agrees to the order of his superior and doesn't do the last yajna. And looking at that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan gets so pleased. Lord Krishna gets so pleased. Just see, does doing yajna please God, or does not doing yajna please God? Or not doing yajna on the order of his superior please God? It's very mystical actually if you look at it, right? So a lot of times, just one thing that we can learn out of that pastime is many things to learn, but one of the things that we should learn is it's not the service that pleases the Lord, it is the mood of service and the offering of that service to your spiritual master that pleases the Lord, right? So it's not like we have distributed 1,000 books. We have distributed the 1,000 books for the pleasure of our spiritual master. And we have not displeased anybody while we are serving those 1,000 books, while we are distributing the 1,000 books. That is the aspect which is very important for the Supreme Lord. Lord doesn't count, Krishna doesn't count number of books. Krishna counts our number of interactions, our number of obeisances that we have paid to every single person whom we've got an opportunity to serve. So here, Brahma said, don't do it. And immediately Prithu Maharaj did not do it. And that pleased the Supreme Lord. And after Supreme Lord left, now Prithu Maharaj gave his teachings or his realizations to the audience, to the whole citizens of the kingdom. He gave that. And then after that, while he is giving, the four Kumaras enter. Just see the scene. I mean, the king is speaking to all the citizens, and just then the four Kumaras are descending right? From the Siddhaloka. They are Siddhis, right? I mean, in Brahmaloka, everybody who resides there are having all the Ashtasiddhis, right? The smaller than the smallest, the bigger than the biggest, the heavier than the heaviest, the lighter than the lightest. They can fulfill any wish, they can make anybody do anything. All these Ashtasiddhis are there. So the four Kumaras also have Ashtasiddhis, and one of the Siddhis, they can travel anywhere. So literally traveling from universe to universe, planet to planet, right? They came to Prithu Maharaj's kingdom. While Prithu Maharaj is speaking to citizens. So Maitreya Muni, it's a translation, verse number 1. The great sage Maitreya said, while the citizens were thus praying to the most powerful King Prithu, the four Kumaras, who were as bright as the sun, arrived on the spot. I think this is the only verse which doesn't have a purpose. Remaining all verses have purpose. So verse number 2. Seeing the glowing effulgence of the four Kumaras, the masters of all mystic power, the king and his associates could recognize them as they descended from the sky. So here Prabhupada writes in the purport how they have the power to travel across different planets, right? And Prabhupada ends the purport saying, during the regime of Prithu Maharaj, everything on the surface of the globe was sinless. Therefore, the Kumaras decided to see the king. Ordinarily, they would not go to any planet which is sinful. So why are the four Kumaras can't be seen in Nanakramguda or Khajaguda? Is because most sinful people live here, especially Gauli Doddi, where I live. So the point is, we can't see such great souls because they don't come to such horribly sinful places. But when the mercy goes down and the sadhu's mercy becomes even more compassionate, then comes A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who entered the most sinful region of the planet and made them the most fortunate. Right? And the people whose lives are people whose, I am muted, no problem. So the people whose livelihood runs on breaking the four regulative principles, their entire economy is about breaking the four regulative principles. Their source of income is relevant only with breaking the four regulative principles. And their spending of income is also on the four regulative principles, breaking the four regulative principles. At that place, Prabhupada went and started ISKCON society. And Prabhupada is writing here in his purport that sadhus like four Kumaras don't go to places which are sinful. And look at him. He himself is a sadhu and he has gone to the most sinful place. That's the mercy of a sadhu, right? So text 3. Seeing the four Kumaras, Prithu Maharaj was greatly anxious to receive them. Therefore, the king with all his officers very hastily got up, as anxious as conditioned soul whose senses are immediately attracted to the modes of material nature. So very important thing here, Prabhupada is telling in the purport that he's comparing the material attraction and saying how is the spiritual attraction, right? Because materialist can't understand spiritual attraction. If we try to explain, oh, Prithu Maharaj saw the sadhus and he ran towards them, like, I don't understand why he did that, right? So it's very difficult. So sadhus, they acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, they beautifully explain us the way we understand. The way we understand is the way a drunkard is attracted to alcohol. The way a young boy is attracted to a young girl. The way, the tongue is attracted to sweet meat, right? So that way, Prithu Maharaj was attracted to see the Kumaras. Right? I mean, spontaneous attraction. So what Prabhupada is trying to tell is spontaneous attraction. So in purport, Prabhupada says, Prithu Maharaj, in the same way, could not restrain himself from receiving the four Kumaras, who were bright by dint of their spiritual progress. And thus, not only he himself, but also his officers and associates all received the four Kumaras. You want 4 Kumaras to come to our satsang? Anybody wants 4 Kumaras to come to our
Haribol.
Haribol.
Okay. 4 Kumaras were not coming, but I'm not speculating, but just to explain the rasa. 5th Kumara is coming. Today morning he messaged. You want to guess who is he? His Grace Chaitanya Chiran Prabhu is coming to our satsang for 1 full week.
Wow. Haribol Prabhu. Haribol.
Haribol.
Hari Hari. Right? So that is a mercy of Vaishnavas. Yeah. In December, at 4:45, I get a message in the morning. Can I come to Hyderabad? What are his telling? Please come. Well, there is no question of, we not getting his mercy. So I'm working on a schedule with Prabhuji, and I will let you all know.
And Prabhuji, you know what is the one of the venues what you have to choose, Prabhu?
Yes. That's already being discussed, but Prabhuji has to approve. So don't worry. All wishes will be fulfilled.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So text 4. When the great sages accepted their reception according to the instructions of the Shastra and finally took their seats offered by the king, influenced by the glories of the sages, immediately bowed down. Thus he worshipped the 4 Kumaras. So here, Prabhupada is trying to explain how a king is receiving the sadhus. And in the purport, Prabhupada also explains how he is respecting the sadhus in parampara. Parampara acharyas. Prabhupada is explaining here there are 4 sampradayas, Vaishnava sampradayas, and Kumara sampradaya is also one of the sampradayas, which is headed by Nimbarka Acharya, or it's Pushti Marg, right? So here Prabhupada is saying that even Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is quoting in that Sansaradava prayers, right? Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastra, right? Which means we should invite and worship the spiritual master like Sakshad Hari. We should, as if Lord Krishna has come to our house. Even Prithu Maharaj is inviting and inviting the sadhus and taking their blessings. Text 5. After this, the king took the water which had washed the lotus feet of the Kumaras and sprinkled it over his hair. By such respectful actions, the king, as an exemplary personality, showed how to receive a spiritually advanced personality. How to receive, right? So Prabhupada in the purport is explaining how we should receive a sadhu in our house, right? So it's being shown here, especially sannyasis when they come to our house. We should unhesitantly go and ask them if we can wash their feet, not as a formality. There is a verse here, verse you can quote, verse number 5, chapter 22, Canto 4. Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj has told us how to invite sadhus. So can you please allow us to wash your feet? Right? So we should do that. And that's a great fortune. If they allow, should not forcefully do it, but we should request them. And if they allow, that's the greatest fortune. And so what did they do? He sprinkled on his hair and he also sprinkled on everybody else. We should even drink the Charanamrit, right? That is called Charana Amrit. That is what we should have. I remember this pastime of told by His Holiness Indradunya Swami Maharaj that once Maharaj was visiting, I think, France, I don't know the exact European country, but he was visiting there, and Indradunya Maharaj had planned that he's going to wash the lotus feet of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And he and 3 other Prabhus, in those days, they decided to wash the lotus feet of Prabhupada. And it so happened that Prabhupada came to the temple and they took that big tumbler of water, not little, right? And the temple was filled with like 300 plus devotees. And they went and were washing the feet of Prabhupada with all that water, not just little. See, normally you pour like 2-3 jugs of or chambus of water. You just do that and then you start cleaning. But But Indraduni Maharaj, and they were so much eager to get the more and more mercy that they poured more and more and more, almost a big tumbler of water. They did charana, seva to the lotus feet of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada also allowed it. And then they lifted the tumbler and they ran into the first floor of the temple and closed the door. Prabhupada is down, and everybody wanted that water. And Indraduni Maharaj says in his talk that, he just wanted everything of it. He is like, I am the most sinful. I want every drop of it. And he said that literally they closed the doors and 4 of them or 3 of them, I don't remember, they drank the entire tumbler. Is it possible? How much water can you drink? 1 liter, 2 liters at a time, 3 liters at a time. They drank the entire, like gulping, like, there cannot be anything more precious than the water that has come from the lotus feet of an acharya, of a great sadhu, right? They did that. And they were saying, people are banging on the door. You can't do that. We need our share. We need our share. And like, no, first I have to drink. Maybe they also got later other temple. But Maharaj was saying how desperate they were and how much they planned to get that mercy of the water that touches the Ganges, right? That touches the lotus feet, of the Vaishnavas, right? Once Prabhupada was in Kumbh Mela. I don't remember which place. Kumbh Mela was going on, and one of the persons, he went and asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, there is so much rush to go and take bath in the Ganges. And Prabhupada explained, Ganges in every Kumbh Mela wants to touch the lotus feet of Vaishnavas and become purified. Right? That was an unbelievable statement. And as soon as that person heard that, he asked Prabhupada if he can wash the feet of Prabhupada. And he took that water and he put it on his head and he said, my Kumbh Mela is fulfilled. I have the same Ganga which comes to wash the lotus feet of a sadhu. I have washed the lotus feet of a sadhu. So Prabhuji and Mataji, if you're able to wash the lotus feet of a sadhu, put it on your head, that's higher than any Kumbh Mela. It's higher than any, what do you call that, sacred water, right? So we should beg for that opportunity. Sadhus don't allow it unless they are pleased, unless they are merciful to give it. But sometimes when you get it, you should take it, right? Like for example, His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj allowed us to wash his lotus feet. We're so fortunate, right? And His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj allowed to wash his lotus feet. So we're fortunate. So we should never lose such opportunities. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so here Prabhupada says in the purport, when a saintly person comes to one's home, it is a Vedic custom first to wash his feet with water and then sprinkle this water over the heads of oneself and one's family. Prithu Maharaj did this, for he was an exemplary teacher of the people in general. Text 6. The 4 sages, the 4 great sages were elder to Lord Shiva, and when they were seated on the golden throne, they appeared just like fire blazing on an altar. Prithu Maharaj, out of his great gentleness and respect for them, began to speak with great restraint as follows. Right? So it's being explained that the 4 Kumaras, they were Naishtika Brahmacharis. Prabhupada explains in purport, they were Naishtika Brahmacharis, means they will never marry. Right? So actually they were supposed to be Prajapatis. Brahma had given birth to them, thinking they'll be Prajapatis, but they decided to be Brahmacharis. And by the way, they also remained as small children. They never grow beyond 4 or 5 years. Why? because they felt that if we grow beyond this, our senses will start acting us, and we might fall away from the process of devotion. So we will always remain as spurious. See, they are like siddhis, they can do that, right? But they are conveying a message to us how dangerous are these senses, right? So they are elder to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is also a Vaishnava, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, and he also is a Vaishnava Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, right? Vishnu Swami is the main Acharya there. So from text 7 onwards, Prithu Maharaj is going to talk now. He's going to address the 4 Kumaras. So please be attentive. King Prithu spoke, "My dear great sages, auspiciousness personified, it is very difficult for even the mystic yogis to see you. Indeed, you are very rarely seen. I do not know what kind of pious activity I have performed for you to grace me by appearing before me without difficulty." So here it's being told how fortunate he is feeling that he is meeting these sadhus or seeing these sadhus. Prithu Maharaj is saying this, right? How fortunate it is to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How rare it is. And Prithu Maharaj is saying how rare it is to see sadhus. We should also feel like that. Actually, this whole chapter, as I was saying, is a very important chapter, which tells us how to receive sadhus, how to interact with sadhus, what we should do with sadhus, right? As we go in further verses, we'll have many more things to know how to handle. It's like a standard operating procedure, SOP, of receiving and serving sadhus, right? This chapter. At the end of the purport, Prabhupada says this is a sign of humility on the part of King Prithu, whose life was so full of pious activities that even Lord Vishnu came to see him and predicted that the Kumaras would also come, right? So God came and then sadhus have come. Will you give less importance to sadhus or more importance to sadhus? Already Krishna came, right? Already Krishna came. But look at the greatness of Prithu Maharaj, who is teaching all of us that more important than Krishna for a devotee is association of devotees, right? That is how important it is. So text 8. Any person upon whom the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are pleased can achieve anything which is very rare to obtain in this world as well as after death. Not only that, but one who receives the favor of the auspicious Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu who accompany the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So it's Prithu Maharaj is saying, like if you have got sadhu association, you are in the most auspicious situation. Prabhujis and Matajis, next time when you look at yourself in a mirror, just feel that how fortunate you are, how fortunate we are that we are getting sadhu association, frequent sadhu association. Great sannyasis, great prabhus, bhagavatas are giving their association to us, right? Krishna is sending them here. So I keep telling that to myself, so that I never become complacent and what is that? Familiar with the presence of great Vaishnavas. Never. So under the circumstance, the conclusion is that the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are pleased with the person Lord Vishnu is pleased with. So where do the sadhus go? Only to the place where Lord is pleased. Where Krishna is pleased, there only sadhus go. And where does Krishna go? Where sadhus are pleased. Right? Text 9. Prithu Maharaj continued, although you are traveling in all planetary systems, people cannot know you, just as they cannot know the super soul, although he is within everyone's heart as a witness of everything. Even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot understand the super soul. My God. He's saying, even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot understand the activities of Supreme Lord, as explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam beginning, right? Muhyanti yat surayaha. Even Suryadev can't understand the Supreme Lord. So, Prabhupada says, but those who are under the modes of material nature cannot understand the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of this cosmic manifestation, or the Vaishnavas. One has to purify his senses and engage in the service of the Lord. Then gradually one can realize who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who is a Vaishnava. Who is a Vaishnava? This is a very big quest how do we identify a Vaishnava, right? How can you identify? If you have not control your senses, you cannot. You know, the other day I was speaking to my boss, and he was speaking that, I don't like one sadhu. His name is a very famous sadhu, Vaishnava sadhu, Acharya, and he was like, I don't like him. He said. Then I asked him, how can you say that that you don't like such a great personality? He says, no, I don't like him. I don't find him attractive. He's all doing all commercial things. He takes money to visit people, and he does that. He does this. So then I was remembering these purports of Prabhupada, where Prabhupada is saying so clearly that a person who has no control over his senses cannot identify a sadhu, cannot recognize a sadhu. What to speak of respecting a sadhu, right? Unfortunate are the people who can't recognize a sadhu, and most unfortunate are the people who have access to the sadhu but still don't identify the sadhu. Right? They are so close to sadhu sangha, but they have no attraction or appreciation for what they have. Right? Text 10. A person who is not very rich and is attached to family life becomes highly glorified when saintly persons are present in his home. The master and servants who are engaged in offering the exalted visitors water, a sitting place, and paraphernalia for reception are glorified, and the home itself is also glorified. Hare Krishna. So, two things are being told here: how to receive a saintly person. See, in the purport, Prabhupada explains. Actually, we should read this whole purport to our children, and we should also remember that when somebody comes, he should be asked to. You should be given water. At least water you can give, right? Anybody comes to your house, at least water you can give. And Prabhupada explains in our culture, if you can't give water, at least give him a seating place, in your house. Please sit down nicely on a mat or on a nice asan. If you can't give him asan, at least give him a mat. And if you can't give him a mat, at least clean the floor and ask him to sit there. And if you can't even clean that floor, then at least ask him to come inside. And if you can't even do that, then at least stand in front of him and fold your hands and ask him and say namaste. Thank you for coming. At least do this much. There is a whole hierarchy Prabhupada says in this purport. You should read the purport. Right? So it is being explained that how a grahastha becomes glorious is when a sadhu visits his house. Grahastha is not glorious because he has a big house. Grahastha is not glorious because he's a rich person who has calculated and made sure his life is so nicely settled that he has this much in mutual fund, this much in fixed deposits, this much in liquidated property, this much in rental property, this much in commercial properties, and he is so nicely structured that his income is constantly flowing that he forgets the Supreme Lord. Right? He has no need of the Supreme Lord. When everything is so nicely invested, why do you need the Supreme Lord? Right? I'm not saying you should not invest, but the real glorious grahastha is the one whose house sadhus come. And sadhus come to detach an attached householder from his belongings, from his house and family. So sadhus come to remind a householder to become serious in his spiritual life, right? Or at least begin his spiritual life. That's where the sadhus go, right? Nityananda Prabhu is to visit the places that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said he cannot. And Nityananda Prabhu was a sadhu. And he would go Avaduta sadhu, right? Lord Balram himself, personified, is the source of all spiritual masters. So he would go to every house and beg them, please chant Hare Krishna, become devotees. Right? So that's the business of a sadhu. And that's what Prabhupada is explaining here. So see this in the last purport, Prabhupada in India. I'll just read it. In India, the custom is that even an ordinary person is offered a glass of water if he suddenly visits, and if one cannot offer food stuff. And if there is no water, one can offer a sitting place, even if it on a straw mat. And if you have no straw mat, at least clean the ground and ask him to sit. Suppose a householder cannot even do that, then it is folded hands. Receive the guest saying, welcome, namaste. And if he cannot even do that, then he should feel sorry for his poor condition and shed tears and simply offer obeisances with his whole family, wife and children. In this way, he can satisfy any guest, even if the guest is a saintly person or a king. What a culture we have, Prabhujis. We are so fortunate to be born in culture where we consider a guest coming to your house as God sent. And such a third class, abominable culture in the Western countries where they consider a guest or somebody coming to your house as a threat. And they also have a law that they can shoot and kill anybody who enters their premises. And there won't be a court case also. Unfortunately, we glorify those countries today where such horrible things happen. Text 11. On the contrary, even though full of all opulence and material prosperity, any householder's house where the devotees of the Lord are never allowed to come in and where there is no water for washing their feet is to be considered a tree in which all venomous serpents live. Right? So a tree is where trees like being allegorically told as a place where you can live. And a sadhu, when a sadhu comes to that house and you don't welcome that sadhu, or you don't have water to wash his feet, and you're not interested to welcome a sadhu, that house is like a house of venomous serpents. Pamu putta మీ ఇల్లు. సాధువులు రాని ఇల్లు పాము పుట్టలు. Right? Because you're very envious. You don't want anybody to come. You just want so attached to your things. You don't want anybody to come. Do you see such pamu puttas everywhere? What is your putta number? Flat number 501. Block 1. That is my pamu putta number. Right? Because if I'm not interested to welcome a sadhu or interested in a sadhu, what kind of a house is that? See, other day I was bringing one Prabhuji to somebody's house, and as soon as the neighbors saw that sadhu, in saffron cloth in the corridor, they all closed their doors. They all closed their doors as if the sadhu is going to enter into their house and ask for something. Or they don't even care that a sadhu has come into the community. They don't even care. How many times have you seen? Like somebody like Radhesham Prabhu or somebody like people coming in to your community and you don't even care. You are like completely oblivious. Not even offering namaste. You're walking on the walking track and the sadhu is walking and you have no culture. Such people are serpents. They are serpents. I'm not telling this. Ritu Maharaj is telling this. There is a verse. You want to quote this verse? You can quote. Text 11, 4:22, 11. Very easy, right? 4:22, 22 divided by 2 is 11. 4:22 to 11. It talks that such householders are like serpents living in a snake house. Prabhupada is writing, like, tree passers are not allowed, or there are dogs, don't come inside. These boards are kept by people who are serpents. Prabhupada is saying that. Beware of dogs, etc. In some Western countries, right? They're equal to venomous snakes, Prabhupada is saying. Very heavy. Text 12. Ritu Maharaj Ritu offered his welcome to the four Kumaras, addressing them as the best of the Brahmanas. He welcomed them, saying, from the beginning of your birth, you strictly observed the vows of celibacy, and although you are experienced in the path of liberation, you are keeping yourselves just like small children. We discussed about it, right? That they have kept their bodies like a small child because they don't want their senses to get activated. Yeah. The Vaishnava is the best of a Brahmana. The best of the Brahmana, Vaishnava. Text 13. Ritu Maharaj inquired from the sages about persons entangled in this dangerous material existence because of their previous actions. Could such persons, whose only aim is sense gratification, be blessed with any good fortune? Now, very important thing here is Ritu Maharaj is now asking the questions that what will happen to all these people who are attracted to their senses? Is there any chance that they will approach the Supreme Lord or go back to the God's kingdom? Is there any chance? Like that is asking. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that how we should utilize the sadhu's time. And beautifully, Prabhupada says that don't do the mistake of going and asking, Maharaj, are you doing good? Is everything fine? That's the nonsensical question that you can ask to a sadhu. Because the sadhu's life is all auspicious. There's nothing wrong in his life. Everything is absolutely fine and auspicious. What are you going and asking a sadhu? That is everything going nice? Your life is not going nice. That is the reason sadhu has come. So don't waste your time going and asking a sadhu what he wants to eat or what he wants to of course you should give comfort, but your focus should be to ask the questions for which the sadhu has come to your house. Right? Most importantly, listen and change. Sometimes sadhus visit. Krishna sends a lot of sadhus to some people's houses, but they don't change. So many sadhus are coming. You know what they do? They give them good food, they give them good donation, but through their actions, they clearly pass on the message to the sadhu that take your donation and get lost. I don't want to change. Don't try to change me. I can give donation for your activities, but don't try to change me. I am so firm in my belief system. I want to enjoy this world. By the way, your appearance in my house is only for it to become more auspicious so I can continue to materially enjoy. I don't want to hear your teachings. And I don't want to ask questions also, by the way. Because you will tell something that will make me uncomfortable. I better not ask any question. You're not understanding what I'm saying? Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
There is complete silence and I can see only black boxes. So sometimes I have to ask that question. I'm speaking to myself. But anyway, I'm actually speaking to myself. Is that that's the way you treat sadhus if you don't know how to treat them. The best way to treat the sadhus is to hear, clarify your doubts, and implement them in your life. So next time when the sadhu comes, he sees some change in you. It is some change in you, and the sadhu will be very happy. Why do you think sadhus want to come? Because they see that you need association and you are willing to change also. That's when the sadhus come, right? So in the purport, Prabhupada says of this 13th verse, kings are not only grahasthas who are generally absorbed in sense gratification, but are also sometimes employed to kill animals in hunting because they have to practice killing art. Otherwise, it is very difficult for them to fight. Such things are not auspicious. 4 kinds of sinful activities: associating with women for illicit sex, eating meat, intoxication, gambling. These are activities sometimes the grahasthas perform. So for them, it is very important to get sadhu association so that they can come out of these activities or not get attached to these activities. Prabhupada is trying to explain here. Text 14. Ritu Maharaj continued, my dear sirs, there is no need to ask about your good and bad fortune because you are always absorbed in spiritual bliss. The mental concoction of the auspicious and inauspicious does not exist in you. This is exactly what I was saying. Prabhupada says the conclusion is that for those who are always engaged in devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the duality of auspicious and inauspicious does not arise. Ritu Maharaj is therefore asking about auspiciousness, not for the sake of the Kumaras, but for his own sake. Right? So, as I said, don't go and ask a sadhu, how is he doing? Is everything going fine? For a sadhu, everything is always going on fine because he is serving the Supreme Lord. We are the people who need sadhu association, and where nothing is going on fine, we have to ask, inquire questions, and take instructions. Text 15. I am completely assured that the personalities like you are the only friends for persons who are blazing in fire of material existence. I therefore ask you how in this material world we can very soon achieve the ultimate goal of life. So Prithu Maharaj is humbling himself and asking, that we are dealing with all these material things. How can we be reminded and actually can we achieve the goal of? So here, when Purport Prabhupada says Maharaj Prithu was assured of this fact, therefore, instead of wasting time by asking Kumaras about their welfare, he preferred to inquire from them whether he could soon be relieved from the dangerous position of materialistic existence. Okay? So that is what somebody should ask when you see a sadhu. When somebody visits your house, Maharaj, how can I go back to Krishna, Maharaj? Maharaj, I know you told to chant, Maharaj, but my chanting I'm struggling, Maharaj. Maharaj, my senses are troubling me, Maharaj. How can I focus? How can I keep my mind focused on Krishna, Maharaj? Maharaj, this is how desperate you should look like. Just going in front of the sadhu and, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj. All well, Maharaj. Maharaj, everything. We are doing satsang, Maharaj. Maharaj, you are distributing Bhagavatam also, Maharaj. Maharaj, everything going on nice, Maharaj. Maharaj, by the way, this is my report, Maharaj. Maharaj, everything is nice. Then Maharaj will think, why did I come to this fellow? Why did I come to this house? He doesn't look like he needs me. He looks like he is doing so many services that he's all satisfied and assured that he'll go back. Why do I need? So he'll not come next time. Right? There is no eagerness in the person to learn from a sadhu. Right? If one feels that one is, if you are feeling that you're doing spiritual activities and you are taken care of and you are all set, then you don't need sadhus. That means you are doomed. Remember this one thing. A spiritual person would never feel secure in this material world, even though he's leading a pure life. Even though he's leading a pure life, a spiritual person will never feel that he is secured in this material existence. Prithu Maharaj is saying, I am stuck in this material existence, do something. Prithu Maharaj, to whom just Narayan met and went. Right? Even in such position is feeling like that. Text 16. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always anxious to elevate the living entities who are his parts and parcels, and for their spiritual benefit, the Lord travels all over the world in the form of self-realized persons. Right? So here in Purport Prabhupada saying in the beginning there were impersonalists, but later they developed devotional qualities. Therefore, they are the best of the transcendentalists. Yeah. So here, the four Kumaras, right? They were Brahmavadis, and later on they became Bhaktas. So Prabhupada is explaining that here. Long purport. I read this whole, I really would love to read, but in the interest of time, it is going forward. Text 17. Now the answers are starting to come. So Prithu Maharaj, what was the question he asked? He asked, what will happen to these materialistic people who are stuck here with their senses attached to sense objects? Is there any hope for them to go back to Krishna? That was the question. And for that, Maitreya Muni is now telling that Sanata Kumara, one of the four Kumaras, Sanat Kumara, is going to answer. The great sage Maitreya continued. Thus, Sanat Kumara, the best of the celibates, after hearing the speech of Prithu Maharaj, which was meaningful, appropriate, full of precise words, and very sweet to hear, smiled with full satisfaction and began to speak as follows. Right? So in Purport, Prabhupada says the speech should be composed of selected words which are very sweet to hear and appropriate to the situation. Such a speech is called meaningful. Right? So we should speak like that in front of sadhus, which will motivate them to talk. Text 18. Sanat Kumara said, my dear King Prithu, I am very nicely questioned by you. Such questions are beneficial for all living entities, especially because they are raised by you, who are always thinking of the good of others. Although you know everything, you ask such questions because that is the behavior of saintly persons. Such intelligence is befitting your position. So here, Sanat Kumar is saying that you already know all these answers, but you're still asking because this conversation that we are going to speak is going to benefit you, is also going to benefit me. Huh? Sadhu feels like that. Oh, this question is going to benefit me also. And it is also going to benefit everybody who is going to hear this conversation or read about this conversation at a later date. So when two sadhus are sitting and talking, that's the most best place for us to be in, because whatever they're going to speak will be beneficial for us. Like Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna knew everything. Like Prabhupada says here, he quotes Arjuna. He says, for instance, although Arjuna knew all transcendental science, he still questioned Krishna as if he did not know anything. Right? Similarly, even Prithu Maharaj is questioning the Kumaras as if he doesn't know anything. He's not acting. He actually feels like that. And the activities are done by great people where they ask this kind of questions to each other so that we are benefited. Right? On this 10th of October 2023, we are benefited because Prithu Maharaj asked those questions on that day to the four Kumaras. Right? Are we not benefited? We are reading that conversation. Prabhupada says, therefore, sometimes great personalities put themselves in that position and inquire from a higher authority because something else. Yeah. Higher authority because they are always thinking of the benefit of others. Text 19. When there is a congregation of devotees, their discussions, questions and answers become conclusive to both the speaker and the audience. Thus, such a meeting is beneficial for everyone's real happiness. So, why do you think we have Sunday evening satsangs, Prabhuji and Matajis? Based on this, what we just read, can you all tell why do we have Sunday evening satsangs or satsangs for that matter?
To be in association with devotees.
Yeah, to hear the conversation between devotees. Because the conversation between devotees is beneficial for all. Right? When two devotees are speaking, the question that you ask and the answer that somebody is asking a question. See, a lot of times when somebody else is asking a question, other people start talking here and there. That is nonsense. Never do that in satsang. You have come to satsang for what? To hear. If you don't have the intelligence to ask a question, somebody else is asking that question. When somebody else is asking that question, you should attentively hear the answer. Because Krishna is trying to pass on the question also and the answer also to you. That's why satsang is very important. If you are thinking, I'm preaching, I'm doing service, I don't need satsang, then you're doomed. Because that is the only source because of which you are able to preach or to serve or do any service at all. Satsang is most important. And when Bhagavad Gita is being discussed, no matter who is discussing, it doesn't matter. Because the source is pure. The content is pure. Right? Text 19. When there is a congregation of devotees, their discussions, questions and answers become conclusive to both the speaker and the audience. Thus, such meeting is beneficial for everyone's real happiness. Text 20. Sanat Kumara continued, my dear king, you already have an inclination to glorify the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such attachment is very difficult to achieve. But when one has attained such unflinching faith in the Lord, it automatically cleanses lusty desires from the core of the heart. So if you have desire to hear Krishna Katha, if you have desire to attend satsangs, if you have desire to associate with devotees, then Prabhuji, automatically your heart will be cleansed. Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahadvavagni Nirvapanam. The Cheto Darpana will happen with the holy names, but the holy names you will chant only when you get taste to chant the holy names. You will get taste to chant the holy names only when you have taste to serve devotees and hear from devotees. Goes back to the same root. Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastra. Sakshad, I will treat devotees like they are Hari. If God is coming today to your house, will you have any other appointment, doctor appointment for your children? Huh? Will you have any, what is that? Some nonsense appointment. Huh? When God is coming. And here God is telling that my devotee's appointment is more important than me. Prabhuji, ఆ సాధులు వస్తున్నారు. లేదు ప్రభుజీ, మా చుట్టాలను కలవడానికి ఊరికి పోతున్నాం ప్రభుజీ. ప్రభుజీ, ఆ సాధువు వస్తున్నాడు ప్రభుజీ. ప్రభుజీ, లేదు ప్రభుజీ, మా దగ్గర పండగ చేసుకుంటున్నాం ప్రభుజీ. ప్రభుజీ, ఇట్లా సాధువు వస్తున్నాడు ప్రభుజీ. ప్రభుజీ అంటే మొన్ననే వచ్చినాయి కదా ప్రభుజీ, మళ్ళీ వాళ్ళ కష్టం ప్రభుజీ. ఇచ్చోడా, మూర్ఖుడా, ఎట్లా అర్థమవుతుందా నీకు? How will you understand that the only purpose of our existence in this material world is to associate with sadhus? వాళ్ళే బయటికి తీసుకోగలరు. They are the only ones who can take us out. ఇంకా కూర్చొని నాకు ఈ అపాయింట్మెంట్ ఉంది ప్రభుజీ, వీళ్ళు కలవడానికి వస్తున్నారు ప్రభుజీ. మా పిల్లలకి రివిజన్ చేయించాలి ప్రభుజీ. రేపు పిచ్చగుట్ల ఎగ్జామ్ ఉన్నది ప్రభుజీ. ఎప్పుడు సార్ తెలివి. సాధు వచ్చాడంటే సాధు కమ్స్, గో, fall there and just hear what he's speaking. Maybe he's speaking the same thing again and again because your brain is not understanding the same thing again and again. He'll speak the same thing again and again here. Understand, right? So that is the benefit. I'm telling this to myself.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam.
Yoru? Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, not only that, Prabhuji, when we are coming to satsang, sometimes we will become low in spiritual path. Whenever we come to the satsang, then we will boost up and we can do our spiritual path in a proper way. What I felt, that is my feeling, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, absolutely. You're speaking what Sanat Kumar is telling here. Right? If we don't have satsang, if you're not serious in satsang, if you're gossiping satsangs, then you're not only destroying your own life, you're destroying others' lives also. Right? It's very important that we are regular. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. It's very clear to do. Nityam Bhagavata. Bhagavata enti Bhagavatam kaadu. Bhagavata. Bhagavatalu ante evaru? Bhaktulu. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Right? So it's very, very important. So here, Prabhupada is explaining in the purport of 20th shloka, actually the living being has no connection with the material enjoyment, nor with lusty desires. He is simply imagining or dreaming while asleep, but by the association of pure devotees, he is awakened. This whole world that is going on, we are all in illusion. We are living in this house, we have got this education, we can speak these many languages, we are getting that kind of wealth. Cholla మనం పండుకున్నాం, నిద్రలో ఉన్నాం. మనం లేపేది ఎవరు? Who is going to wake us up? ఓం అజ్ఞానతిమిరాంధస్య జ్ఞానాంజన శలాకయా చక్షురుం మిలితం యేన తస్మై శ్రీ ఎవరు?
గురవే నమః.
గురవే నమః. ఆ గురువు కలవడానికి వచ్చినప్పుడు నువ్వు గురు అని అనుకుంటున్నావు. ఆ గురువు కలవడానికి వచ్చినప్పుడు నువ్వు అక్కడ కలవడానికి కూడా వెళ్ళట్లేదు. రైట్? దాన్నే దరిద్రం అంటారు. దాన్నే దరిద్రం. ఏంటంటే when a sadhu is coming, you are prioritizing anything else. This might be your last day. And if today sadhu is coming, that's the most important. And don't you think, Prabhus, that if you take sadhu sangha, Krishna will not take care of you? నమ్మకం లేదా? ప్రభుజీ ఇవన్నీ చేస్తే అడదెట్ల ప్రభుజీ, ఇవన్నీ చేస్తే ఎట్లా ప్రభుజీ, మన పిల్లల సంగతి ఏంటి ప్రభుజీ, వాళ్ళ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సంగతి ఏంటి ప్రభుజీ, ఇదేంటి? అరే చూసుకుంటాడు రాయన, కృష్ణుడు చూసుకుంటాడు. కృష్ణుడు చూసుకోలేడా? నమ్మకం లేదా కృష్ణుడి మీద? Make your children into devotees, or push or introduce them to devotion. Everything else he'll take care. Krishna will take care. Don't worry. Your child doesn't have to get 100% marks in all 100% exams. వాడు పిచ్చోడు, నువ్వు పిచ్చోని. Don't think like that. This material education is to make sommu. That's all. For what? That money is to again survive and serve sadhus. అంతవరకు ఆలోచించండి. మరి పిచ్చిగా how will he survive అని ఆలోచన మీకు వస్తున్నదంటే, if you are getting a thought that how will my children survive, that means you have not started your Krishna consciousness. Your children will be taken care. I'm not telling they should not study, but even if they study, what is a guarantee they'll be successful in life? Can anybody in the call guarantee that నా పిల్లలు ఫుల్ 100/100 వచ్చింది, వాళ్ళు ఖచ్చితంగా జీవితంలో సక్సెస్ఫుల్ అవుతారని చెప్పగలరు ఎవరన్నా? చెప్పండి. మరి 100% ఎడ్యుకేషన్ వచ్చిన తర్వాత కూడా సక్సెస్ గ్యారంటీ కానప్పుడు మరి సక్సెస్ ఇచ్చేది ఎవరు? చదువా? ఉద్యోగమా? ఆస్తులా? ఏమిస్తున్నా సక్సెస్? భగవంతుడు. ఆ భగవంతుడు పంపించిన సాధువులు వచ్చినప్పుడు అది మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ప్రయారిటీ. ఈ చాప్టర్ నేర్చుకోవాలండి. అది నేర్చుకోకపోతే ఎలా ఇంత పెద్ద చాప్టర్ ప్రభుజీ ఎంత బాగా చెప్పిండు గురువుల గురించి గురుగురు మళ్ళీ సత్సంగం రమ్మంటే టైం లేదు ప్రభుజీ, టైం లేదు ప్రభుజీ. ఎందుకు? మా కొడుకు మిడ్ టర్మ్ ఎగ్జామ్ ఉన్నది ప్రభుజీ. ఆడు మిడ్ లైఫ్ లో ఉన్నాడు. నీ బతుకు కూడా అదే మిడ్ టర్మే. మనంతా మిడిల్ లో ఉన్నాం. తటస్థ శక్తి మిడిల్. అటు పోతావా ఇటు పోతావా? ప్రయారిటైజ్ రైట్. ఆఫ్ కోర్స్ మన పిల్లల భవిష్యత్ మన చేతుల్లో లేదు. అవర్ చిల్డ్రన్స్ ఫ్యూచర్ ఇస్ నాట్ ఇన్ అవర్ హ్యాండ్స్. వీ కెన్ ఓన్లీ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ దెమ్. నీ బతికేంది ఆలోచిస్తున్నావు? వాట్ ఈస్ యువర్ థింగ్? హౌ లాంగ్ యూ వాంట్ టు కీప్ ప్లానింగ్? ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ ఆల్సో. Become serious about spiritual life. Prioritize this. Is needed. Text 21. It has been conclusively decided. Who is speaking? Sanat Kumar is speaking. What is he telling? It has been conclusively decided in the scriptures after due consideration that the ultimate goal for the welfare of human society is detachment from the bodily concept of life and increased steadfast attachment for the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental beyond the modes of the material nature. మొత్తం శాస్త్రాలు చదివిన తర్వాత సారే శాస్త్ర పढ़ने के बाद what is the conclusion? What is the conclusion? What is he saying? Is detachment from this bodily concept of life. If you're not able to focus and get that, the whole thing is a nuisance, right? We are living in a nuisance. మీరు ఎందుకు పుట్టిన అందరూ? ఒక 5 నిమిషాలు ఎందుకు పుట్టిన అందరు? Why you have taken birth?
To go back to God actually.
ఉన్నదా లేదా టార్గెట్? లేకపోతే వదిలేయండి గ్రూప్, అనవసరం తలకాయ నొప్పి. సత్సంగం వదిలేసేయండి. ఎందుకు? మన సత్సంగంలో ఉంటారు, మన గచ్చిబౌలి గ్రూప్ లో ఉంటారు 270 మంది. సత్సంగం రాండ్రా అంటే 70-80 కంటే ఎక్కువ రారు. మిగతా ఎందుకున్నారో అర్థం కావట్లేదు. వై అంటే ఉండాలి, ఇట్లా ఉండనట్టు ఉండాలి. యమదూతులు వస్తారు. యమదూతులు వచ్చి కొరడా పట్టుకుని ఒక్క నిమిషం నేను వాట్సాప్ చూపిస్తాను, గచ్చిబౌలి గ్రూప్ లో ఉన్నా నేను. యమదూతులు చెప్తారు నేను గచ్చిబౌలి గ్రూప్ లో ఉన్నాను. అప్పుడు యమదూతులు ఏం చేస్తారు తెలుసా? ఇంకొక 2 కోడాలు తీసి పడతాడు పట్టుకుని. ఇచ్చిన వాడుక గ్రూప్ లో ఉండి కూడా సత్సంగం పోలే, ఎందుకు నువ్వు అట్లా మాట్లాడుతున్నాను. అది అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. ఉండు కాదు ముఖ్యం, అక్కడ ఉండు కాదు ముఖ్యం, అక్కడ ఉండి ఏం చేస్తున్నావు అన్నది ముఖ్యం. తెలుగులో బాగుంటుంది కదా క్లాస్, ఇంగ్లీష్ కంటే. Staying in the group is not important. What are you doing in that group is important. Staying in that satsang is not important. What are you doing with that satsang is important. Going to satsang is not important. What are you doing after going to satsang is important. ఆ క్లాస్ నడుస్తుంటే పక్కన కూర్చొని కూర్చోాలి. మాతాజీ మీరు పోయిన వారం వచ్చిండ్రా? వచ్చిండ్రా, నేను వచ్చినా, మీరు వచ్చిండ్రా, అప్పుడు వచ్చిండ్రా, వీళ్ళు వచ్చిండ్రా, వాళ్ళు వచ్చిండ్రా, వాళ్ళు ఎందుకు రావట్లేదు? నీకు ఎందుకు రాబోయే కూర్చొని అడిగిన క్లాస్ ఏం చెప్తున్నాను? సో importance to satsang is taking the words of sadhu and to what? To come out of the bodily conception of life and attachment to Krishna. The 2 things being told in this verse number 21. Sanat Kumar is telling only 2 things. The entire purpose of material existence, if somebody says, why is the material world created? Why is the human birth? What is the most important thing to achieve in the human birth? Only 2 things. What are those 2 things? To come out of the bodily conception of life and to become attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. రెండే, ఇక్కడ మధ్యలో ఏం లేదు, తర్వాత ఏం లేదు, ముందేం లేదు. Only 2 things, right? Text 22. Sanat Kumar is telling, attachment for the Supreme can be increased by practicing devotional service, inquiring about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, applying bhakti yoga in life, worshipping the Yogeshwara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by hearing and chanting about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These actions are pious in themselves. How can you attach the increased attention to the Supreme? By performing devotional service. You have to perform devotional service. Text 23. One has to make progress in spiritual life by not associating with persons who are simply interested in sense gratification and making money. Right? Be very careful. Prabhuji and Mataji's, when you're going to satsang, if people are talking about real estate, if people are talking about money matters, if people are talking about new cars, new houses, new deals, have you heard anybody speaking like that in satsang? విన్నారా ఎప్పుడైనా సత్సంగం అయిన తర్వాత ప్రాపర్టీల గురించి, కార్ల గురించి, వీటి గురించి మాట్లాడేటోళ్ళు? చాలా జాగ్రత్తగా ఉండాలి వాళ్ళతోటి. దే ఆర్ ఏజెంట్స్ ఆఫ్ మాయా సిట్టింగ్ ఇన్ ద సత్సంగ్. చాలా జాగ్రత్తగా ఉండాలి. We should be very careful with them. Because why are we going to the satsang? To detach ourselves from these attachments. And if we go there and discuss the same thing, what is the point? There's no point. So here Sanat Kumar is telling, be very careful. Not only such persons, but one who associates with such persons should be avoided. Even the person who is associating with such persons. One should mold his life in such a way that he cannot live in peace without drinking the nectar of the glorification of Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari. One can be thus elevated by being disgusted with the taste for sense gratification. Disgusted. Can you please underline that word? Disgusted. Disgusted. విరక్తి. విరక్తి పుట్టాలి ఈ ప్రపంచం అంటే. పుడుతున్నదా విరక్తి?
Yes, Prabhuji.
నిజంగా యు ఆర్ గెటింగ్ విరక్తి?
Not yet, Prabhuji.
పొద్దున్నే
Yes,
లేవగానే
Prabhuji.
పొద్దున్నే లేవగానే అద్దంలో మొహం చూడంగానే మీకు ఏం చేయబుద్ధి అవుతున్నది? మంచిగా దూకోబుద్ధి అవుతున్నదా, లేదా మొహం మీద ఉంచబుద్ధి అవుతున్నది? ఇంకా బతుకున్నారు ఈ మొహంతో, ఇంకా ఈ ప్రపంచం చూడడానికి, ఎంజాయ్ చేయడానికి ఉన్నావా అని. అవునా? అంత విరక్తి కలగాలి. విరక్తి రావాలి. కానీ విరక్తి ఎట్లా వస్తుంది? హౌ విల్ యూ గెట్ దట్ విరక్తి? హౌ విల్ యూ గెట్ దట్ what is that disgustness towards this material world? When you get attachment towards the Supreme Lord. See, our senses want to see something beautiful. When you see more beautiful, you reject less beautiful. Right? So don't try to put yourself into a place where you are disgusted with the material world, but you have no attachment to Supreme Lord. Chala dangerous situation. Did everybody understand what I told? Very important. This once I asked my Shiksha Guru, Gal Kishore Prabhu, once I asked that, Prabhuji, నాకు విరక్తి పుడుతున్నది ప్రభుజీ, ఈ జాబ్ అన్నా, ఈ ఫ్యామిలీ లైఫ్ అన్నా, ఈ అంతా ఈ డీలింగ్స్, మెటీరియల్ డీలింగ్స్ విరక్తి పుడుతున్నది ప్రభుజీ. కానీ నాకు కృష్ణ కాన్షియస్ లో కూడా అంత టేస్ట్ రావట్లేదు ప్రభుజీ. చాలా డేంజరస్ పొజిషన్ పోతున్నాను. యూఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు వెరీ డేంజరస్ పొజిషన్. యూ బెటర్ focus more on getting more taste on Krishna consciousness. Because if this side happens and that side doesn't happen, then we'll go to Eragada hospital. Right? Very, very dangerous. We should, even the renunciation that you're getting on material virakti is actually temporary virakti. Because you can get again an attraction towards it if you're not attracted towards the Supreme Lord. Attraction towards Supreme Lord is the most important. Attraction towards Supreme Lord and his devotees. The most important. Prabhupada writes a big purport. Text 24. A candidate for spiritual advancement must be non-violent, must follow in the footsteps of the great acharyas, must always remember the nectar of the pastime of Supreme Personality of Godhead, must follow the regulative principles without material desire, and while following the regulative principles, should not blaspheme others. A devotee should lead a very simple life and not be disturbed by the duality of opposing elements. He should learn to tolerate them. It's like a manual Sanat Kumar is giving, right? It's a manual saying that be attracted to acharyas, be attracted to teachings, be attracted to satsang. Don't be attracted to following the regulative principles. Don't break them. Don't speak bad about others. Don't find faults in others, right? And be tolerant to the dualities of this material world. It's a huge purport of Prabhupada. Please read that. Please read it for sure. Text 25. The devotee should gradually increase the culture of devotional service by constantly hearing from the transcendental qualities of Supreme Personality of Godhead. How? How to increase the culture of devotion? By constantly hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These pastimes are like ornaments, ornamental decorations on the ears of the devotees. By rendering devotional service and transcending the material qualities, one can easily be fixed in transcendence in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's all. Janma karma chame divyam. Evam yoveti tattvataha tekyadeham punarjanma naiti mamiti sarjuna. Just keep hearing the pastimes, right? Ee shlokam vastadi anukokandi, ardham cheskondi. Adhamenti shlokandi. Janma karma chame divyam. All the time hear the pastimes of Supreme Lord. Attend satsangs, go to devotees, go to yatras, spend more time in sadhus. Don't try to adjust your material life. There is nothing to adjust in material life. Material life is going to end one day. Before another material life starts, take your ticket to the spiritual world. Text 26. Upon becoming fixed in this attachment to Supreme Personality of Godhead by the grace of the spiritual master and by awakening knowledge and detachment, the living entity situated within the heart of the body and covered by the 5 elements burns up his material surroundings exactly as fire arising from wood burns the wood itself. Right? So when you are awakened spiritually, you will burn these metal attachments. You will burn this desires to enjoy the material world. It will automatically get burnt. But the fire is coming from where? From the service to the Vaishnavas. Right? When you are becoming attached to the Supreme Lord and the Vaishnavas, it will generate that fire which will burn all these attachments. Text 27. When a person becomes devoid of all material desires and liberated from all material qualities, it transcends the distinction between actions executed externally and internally. At that time, the difference between the soul and the super soul, which was existing before self-realization, is annihilated. When a dream is over, there is no longer a distinction between dream and the dreamer. Text 28. When the soul exists for sense gratification, he creates direct desire. Please, everybody focus. I am reading these translations. You are directly hearing the verses. I'm not discussing the purport unless there is something distinctive to explain. So please hear focused as I'm going through the chapter. Text 28. When the soul exists for sense gratification, he creates different desires, and for that reason he becomes subjected to designations. But when one is in the transcendental position, he is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires of the Lord. Right? So your desires become God's desires. Hrishikena, Hrishikesha, Sevanam, Bhakti Rukshate. Right? When you use your senses to serve the master of the senses, then your senses will be purified. Text 29. Only because of different causes does a person see a difference between himself and others. Just as one sees a reflection of a body appearing differently manifested on water, on oil, or in a mirror. Right? Hare Krishna. So you're able to see a difference, but actually there's no difference. Text 30. When one's mind and senses are attached to sense objects for enjoyment, the mind becomes agitated. As a result, continually thinking of sense objects, one's real consciousness almost becomes lost, like the water in a lake that is gradually sucked up by the big grass straws on its bank. So we should understand that sense objects and sense enjoyment is so dangerous, very dangerous, detrimental to spiritual life. So we should make sure that you're not associating with people who are attracted to senses. Most important. Right? Text 31. When one deviates from his original consciousness, he loses the capacity to remember his previous position or recognize his present one. When remembrance is lost, all knowledge acquired is based on a false foundation. When this occurs, learned scholars consider that the soul is lost. Right? You forget the greatness of devotees, you forget everything good you have received, right? You forget everything. Do you know of any devotees who have left satsang? You don't need to name them. Do you know people who have left satsang? Huh? What is their situation? They've completely lost it. They completely lost it. They lost their chance. Unless they again go to satsang, they are completely lost. And nobody can help them. Even they will not allow you to help them also. That is how much Krishna removes the taste towards satsang when you perform any anarthas in the satsang. right? When you don't respect devotees, when you treat satsang as a cheap thing to happen, when you treat spiritual life as a choice, going to satsang is a choice. Let me not go today. Why to go? I have already met that Prabhuji. He came so many times. Why again and again is coming? Why should I? These are all symptoms. These are all symptoms of a diseased, conditioned state. Right? So recognize those symptoms. And when you see those symptoms, push yourself to go and do it. Go and associate. And some change will happen. Text 31. When one deviates from the original consciousness, he loses the capacity to remember the previous position. Yeah, we already read this. Text 32. There is no stronger obstruction to one's self-interest than thinking other subject matters to be more pleasing than one's self-realization. See, Sanat Kumar is very clearly telling. When you see that anything else is more attractive than satsang, you are done. Text 33. For human society, constantly thinking of how to earn money and apply it for sense gratification brings about the destruction of everyone's interests. When one becomes devoid of knowledge and devotional service, he enters into species of life like those of trees and stones. Hare Krishna. Are you all worried? What will your next life be? Is anybody worried?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Please be worried. Because
More
next
than
life is
that,
certain. Next life is
more
certain.
than that, current life is more worryful, bro.
Current life is very full, but at least we are in satsang, na? You are in this conference call. So there is some hope, but next life you should be very, very worried. Right? If you are
Yes,
worried
Prabhu.
in next life, you'll fix your current life. If you're not worried about next life, then you will mess your current life. That's what materialistic people are doing, right? They don't worry about the next life. They don't even think about the next life. When you look at an insect, tomorrow or today, when you go outside and you look at a housefly, just observe it clearly, huh? Because it might be you in next life.
That's why we have to give 200% in this life, Prabhuji.
Don't want to take chance, Mataji. Koddu. Koddu. Chal. Prabhupada told, right? Give this one life to Krishna. Lokka life iche. Yedo vidang iche. Give this one life to Krishna and you're done. You're done. And it's a great opportunity. See, next life if you come, I don't know if ISKCON movement will be there or no. I don't know which planet you will take birth. I don't know Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada books. When undakpochu, appudu em chestavu? The life without Prabhupada books, what will you do? Who is going to remind you what is your situation? No devotees. No devotees, no satsangs, no kirtans, no temple, no services, no God. What will happen to you? Oh my God. Even imagining that is so scary. For materialistic persons, imagining this is very scary. Right? That is the difference. So don't associate with such materialistic people. Be very careful. Going to parties, going to sense gratificatory clubs. Don't do it. You're not Vishwamithrudiке dikkuledu nuvendi. What are you? If you put yourself in such vulnerable places, don't think you are immune to it. You'll take birth in that club like a mosquito. For human society, constantly thinking about how to earn, how to spend, is very dangerous. That's what Sanat Kumar is telling here. Text 34. Those who strongly desire to cross the ocean of nescience must not associate with modes of ignorance. From hedonistic activities. For hedonistic activities are the greatest obstructions to realization of religious principles, economic development, regulated sense gratification, and at last liberation. Careful, 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 careful. 35. Out of the four principles, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, liberation has to be taken very seriously. The other three are subject to destruction by the stringent laws of nature, death. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Moksha has to be taken more seriously. Because that moksha will attract you towards love of God. Only moksha is also not enough. Ultimately, it will result into love of God. Text 36. We accept as blessings different states of higher life, distinguishing them from lower states of life. But we should know that such distinctions exist only in relation to the interchange of the modes of mental nature. Actually, these states of life have no permanent existence, for all of them will be destroyed by the Supreme Controller. Different states of life that we are living. Prabhuji, I am living in a great society. Prabhuji, I am a director. Prabhuji, I am a manager. Prabhuji, I am a lead. Prabhuji, I am an architect. Prabhuji, I am what? These are all different quarters of Maya. And all of them will be destroyed at the time of death. All of them. The huge purport Prabhupada is written. I wish I could have read the whole thing for you, but we are going forward. Understand the essence. Text 37. Sanat Kumara advised the king. He is advising. Please attentive. Therefore, my dear King Prithu, try to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is living within everyone's heart, along with the individual soul, in each and every body, either moving or non-moving. The individual souls are fully covered by the gross material body and the subtle body made of the life, air, and intelligence. So he's explaining where is the Supreme Lord situated and what are you. The Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself as one with the cause and effect within this body, but one who has transcended the illusionary energy by deliberate consideration, which clears the misconception of a snake for a rope, can understand the Paramatma is entirely transcended to the material creation and situated in pure internal energy. Thus, the Lord is transcendental to all material contamination. Unto him only one must surrender. Must one surrender, right? So here he's explaining, first of all, recognize who is the Supreme Lord. He's not like you and me. Surrender to him, right? He will explain you what is the difference between a rope and a snake, and you can't see otherwise. You will consider this material world as a great place to live, and you will live here forever. 39. The devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome hard not desires for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the jnanis, the yogis, although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of the Lord, the son of Vasudeva. Prabhuji and Mataji, how many have problem with your senses? Everybody, right? Everybody have problem with the senses.
Yes.
Everybody have problem with the desires. Everybody have problems with lust, greed, envy. We all have. The only solution for this, don't try to search here and there. Don't try to, go in front of a movie poster and say, I will not see. Don't do all that nonsense. The only way you are not attracted to a movie poster is when you are attracted to devotees and satsang. That's it. If you're not attracted to the lotus feet of the Lord, you are attracted to everything else. If you're getting attracted to all materialistic things, that only means you're still not attracted to devotees. You're only licking the outside of the bottle, honey bottle. Outside you're licking. Even in satsang, you're not actually taking satsang, you're licking outside of the bottle. You're not tasted the honey yet. If you tasted the honey, automatically the opposite attraction will go away. Of this, there is no doubt. Text 40. The ocean of nescience is very difficult to cross because it is infested with many dangerous sharks. Although those who are non-devotees undergo severe austerities and penances to cross that ocean, we recommend that you simply take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are like boats for crossing the ocean. Although the ocean is difficult to cross, by taking shelter of his lotus feet, you will overcome all dangers. So it's impossible for a living entity to cross the material ocean, but he can cross by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, because lotus feet of the Lord will make the entire material ocean, the Sansara Sagaram, into a hoofprint of a calf, as explained 10th canto. Hoofprint of a calf, this much, and you can just cross it over, right? You should hear Bhagavat, what is that series by Gauranga Darshan Prabhu?
Bhagavata Pravaha.
Bhagavata Pravaha. Go to Bhagavata Pravaha, here class number 20. He speaks about this chapter. I heard that chapter. Right? In 40, I think in half an hour he finished the entire chapter. But the way he spoke, beautifully quoted how we should associate with sadhus and how we should give importance to satsang. Text 41. The great sage Maitreya continued, being thus enlightened in complete spiritual knowledge by the son of Brahma, one of the Kumaras who was complete in spiritual knowledge, the king worshipped them in the following words. Now, Prithu Maharaj is going to reciprocate back. Text 42. The king said, O Brahmana, O powerful one, formerly Lord Vishnu showed me his causeless mercy, indicating that you would come to my house and to confirm that blessings you all have come. So Lord Vishnu told, that is the reason devotees come. Why do devotees come into our life? Why devotees come into our life? Because Krishna tells them to go. Why sadhus come into our life? Because you have a beautiful face? Because you'll give them donation? Because you have done great gimmicks in your life that sadhus are attracted? Why? Why sadhus come to your life?
Blessings.
So enlighten.
Because Krishna has sent them. That is what is being told in this verse. Krishna has sent them. Prithu Maharaj is saying, O Brahmana, O powerful one, formerly Lord Vishnu showed me his mercy and indicated that you would come to my house to confirm that blessing you all have come. Right? Why Yugal Kishore Prabhu came into my life? Because I'm a Nalgonda Reddy? Because Krishna has sent. This fellow is hopeless, go and help him. Right? Merciful Lord sends devotees. Prabhupada once told that Krishna sent him to the material world. How many of you have heard this? Did you hear it anywhere?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhupada did not want to. In fact, Prabhupada says, I did not want to go, but he sent me. I mean, Prabhupada, of course, he wants to come and help all of us, he's compassionate. But Prabhupada, they are not ordinary people. They are associates of Supreme Lord. They are coming here to deliver us. Sent by the Supreme Lord. They are all sent by the Supreme Lord. Like God appears and disappears, Acharyas also appear and disappear. Text 43. My dear Brahmana, you have carried out the order thoroughly because you are also compassionate as the Lord. What order they have carried out? The order of the Supreme Lord. It is my duty, therefore, to offer you something, but all I possess are but remnants of the food taken by the great saintly persons. What shall I give? I have nothing else. The only wealth that I have is the food taken by the saintly persons. Text 44. The king continued, therefore, my dear Brahmanas, my life, wife, children, home, furniture, and household paraphernalia, my kingdom, strength, land, and especially my treasure are all offered to you. Please go. Family good. Take everything. Because this is nothing. This is of no use. What can I offer? Text 45. The mood is creating the mood. What can I offer? What can I offer? Since only a person who is completely educated according to the principles of Vedic knowledge deserves to be the commander-in-chief, ruler of the state, the first to chastise and the proprietor of the whole planet, Prithu Maharaj offered everything to the Kumaras. Please take it. Please take it. Text 46. The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras eat their food by the virtue of Brahmanas' mercy. It is the Brahmanas who enjoy their own property, clothes themselves with their own property, and give charity with their own property. Right? So he's explaining how they are leading, how people are leading their lives. Since Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras eat their food by the virtue of the Brahmanas. And it is the Brahmanas who enjoy their own property, clothes themselves, and with their own property, give charity with their own property. They're just giving it out, right? 47. Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons? This is the shloka we read in the beginning, right? What is the shloka? Yairidrishi bhagavato gatiratma vada ekantato nigamabhi pratipaditana dushyanto abhadra karunasva krayana nityam go nama tat pratikaroti vinoda patram. Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment With complete conviction and Vedic evidence, we repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction. Such persons can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. When you go to Ganga, what do you offer back to Ganga? Huh? Ganga, what do you give back to Ganga?
Ganga water.
Give it back. Why do you think he's saying keep water in your hand and give it back? Give it back. You can't give a sadhu anything. If you think you've given a sadhu anything, the picture I wanted. Remember that. If you think you have given sadhu anything, if you think you have given anything to ISKCON, you are a fool. Fool number one. Designated, ultimate fool number one. If you think you have given anything to Prabhupada, you cannot give anything to Prabhupada. Because whatever he gave is temporary. What he gave is permanent. We are only receivers in ISKCON, we are not givers. We are receivers of mercy. We can never become givers. Remember that. Text 48. The great sage Maitreya continued, being thus worshipped by Prithu Maharaj, Maharaj Prithu, the four Kumaras, who were masters of the devotional service, became very pleased. Indeed, they appeared in the sky and praised the character of the king, and everyone observed. Right? So they praised back the king. I'll quickly read this praises back. Among us, the great personalities, Maharaj Prithu was the chief by virtue of his fixed position in relation to the spiritual enlightenment. He remained satisfied as one who has achieved all success in spiritual understanding. Text 50. Being self-satisfied, Maharaj Prithu executed his duties as perfectly as possible according to the time and his situation, strength and financial position. His only aim in all his activities was to satisfy the supreme absolute truth. In this way, he duly acted. So Kumaras are praising back the supreme, the Prithu Maharaj, saying his great qualities. Prithu Maharaj completely dedicated himself to an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transcendental to material nature. Consequently, all the fruits of his activities were dedicated to the Lord, and he always thought of himself as a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of everything. Bhogeshwari Prashaktanam Tayapichitsam Vyavasayatmika Buddhir Samadhav Navidiyate. He never was attracted to Bhoga or Aishwarya. Right? Text 52. Maharaj Prithu, who was very opulent due to the prosperity of the entire empire, remained at home as a householder, since he was never inclined to utilize his opulences for the gratification of his senses. He remained unattached, exactly like sun, which is unaffected in all circumstances. Right? Sun cannot be contaminated. Prithu Maharaj cannot be contaminated. Text 53. Being situated in the liberated position of devotional service, Prithu Maharaj not only performed all fruitive activities, but also begot 5 sons by his wife, Archi. Indeed, all his sons were begotten according to his own desire. Text 54. After begetting 5 sons named Vijitasva, Dhumrakesha, Haryaksha, Dravina, and Vraka, Prithu Maharaja continued to rule the planet. He accepted all the qualities of the deities who governed all other planets. Wow, he was running the planets. Text 55. Since Maharaj Prithu was a perfect devotee to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj used to please them in all respects by his words, mentality, works, and great behavior. Text 56. Maharaj Prithu became as celebrated as king as Somaraja, the king of the moon. He was also powerful and exacting, just like the sun god, who distributes heat and light, at the same time extracts all planetary waters. Text 57. Maharaj Prithu was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his orders any more than one could conquer fire itself. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra, the king of the heaven, whose power is inseparable. On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of the human society, he was like heaven itself. Text 58. Just as rainfall satisfies everyone's desires, Maharaj Prithu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea in that no one could understand his depths. And he was like Meru, the king of the hills, in the fixity of his purpose. Text 59. Maharaj Prithu's intelligence and education were exactly like that of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, Dharmaraj basically. His opulence was comparable to the Himalaya mountains, where all valuable jewels and metals are stocked. He possessed great riches like Kuvera, the treasurer of the heavenly planets, and no one could reveal his secrets, for they were like demigod Varunas. Text 60. And his bodily strength and in the strength of his senses, Maharaj Prithu was as strong as a wind which can go anywhere and everywhere. As far as his intolerance was concerned, he was just like the all-powerful Rudra, expansion of Lord Shiva or Sadashiva. Text 61. In his bodily beauty, he was just like Cupid, and in his thoughtfulness, he was like a lion. In his affection, he was just like Swayambhu Manu, and his ability to control, he was like Lord Brahma. See, they are praising the greatness. It's almost ending. Text 62. In this personal behavior, Prithu Maharaj exhibited all good qualities. In spiritual knowledge, he was exactly like Brihaspati. In self-control, he was like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As far as the devotional service was concerned, he was a great follower of devotees who were attached to cow protection and the rendering of all service to the spiritual master and the Brahmanas. He was perfect in his shyness and in his gentle behavior. When he engaged in some philanthropic activity, he worked as if he were working for his own personal self, right? So he was treating others like he would treat himself. Last verse, Prabhu's and Mataji's. Throughout the whole universe, in the higher, lower, and middle planetary systems, Prithu Maharaj's reputation was loudly declared, and all ladies and saintly persons heard his glories, which were as sweet as the glories of Lord Ramachandra. Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. So Prithu Maharaj was as glorious and famous and as amazing as Lord Ramachandra. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the fourth canto, 22nd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Prithu Maharaj's meeting with the four Kumaras. And the next chapter is Prithu Maharaj going back to home, going back to Godhead, because he did everything right. Are we going to do everything right? We have to decide. So thank you very much, Pros and Matajis. It's a working day. Ekadashi is not a national holiday. Ekadashi is not a national holiday. Let us pray that very soon government will declare all Ekadashis as national holidays.
Prabhuji, I have one doubt.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, Krishna is so merciful and he wants us to walk on this path of spirituality because he doesn't want us to see us in this miserable world. But then people say that Krishna tastes his devotee. Is it true?
Krishna is not testing his devotees. Krishna is cleansing his devotees.
But then, Prabhuji, like sometimes that distraction comes in our life that we get away from this spirituality. Sometimes people understand, yes, I'm getting away, and then they come back. And sometimes they don't even realize that they are distracted. And like we have many such examples in the past, right?
Yeah. So, Mataji, see, you have to develop attraction towards God, and that attraction comes when you do activities which pleases God. And the only activity that pleases God the most is when we serve God's devotees, right? So there is a long way to get attraction towards God. There is a shorter way to get attraction towards God. In Kali Yuga, the shortest way is to follow the God's teachings and chanting Hare Krishna mantra and to serve his devotees. Vaishnava Seva. Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva, and what is the third one?
Jivadaya.
Jivadaya, Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva. Do these three things and you will quickly get attraction towards the Supreme Lord. right? But if you go the other way around, that I will do tapasya, I will do this, I will do that, and then slowly I'll cleanse myself, and the path is long, and the chances of you getting drifted away are also long, right? So people do get attracted to other things, but if you're doing these three activities, a day will come when you will not get attracted to those things. Krishna will provide that easiest way.
No,
So
but my
most
question
important
is,
thing.
do Krishna test his devotee? Is it true?
No, Krishna doesn't test. Do you think you can really pass Krishna's test?
I mean, does he want to see, oh, let's see how much he is, people say that. I don't believe in that, but
Krishna
people say
never
that.
tests. There is
Yeah,
nothing
exactly,
like
because
Krishna.
he's so merciful, he loves so much. Where is the question of testing?
No, he cannot. He doesn't test. First of all, come out of the mind that he's testing and I'm passing. You really think you can pass Krishna's test? Huh? Nobody can pass Krishna's test. If Krishna starts testing, there is no hope for this material world.
And one more,
If
Prabhuji,
I get
how
to
do
know,
I
no,
know
wait,
that?
let me finish. Let me finish. So, if Krishna starts testing, there is no question of we going back to Krishna. Krishna, he cleanses us through his activities, through the plan. He cleanses all of us. He removes the unnecessary things from our heart, and he cleanses us so that we can go back to him. He doesn't test. You can call them as tests, but they're not tests because every test of Krishna we pass. Krishna
So the
only puts the
distractions which are coming,
Krishna,
is it because of our past karma?
what is it?
The distraction which you are facing, so that is it because of our past karma?
Both past karma and present karma also.
Okay.
Present karma. Which satsang you go, Mataji?
Bal Govind Prabhuji.
Are you regular there?
Yes.
You don't miss a single class?
No, I love attending classes.
Then you are all set, no? You're all set.
Last Sunday there was no satsang. I'm missing so much that I'm listening more and more live satsang nowadays.
Yes, if there is no satsang in my home jewel, you should go to another satsang where satsang is happening.
But then Prabhuji, they are already we have already finished Bhagavad Gita, right? And I'm reading myself. I'm reading Bhagavatam. I'm in the first chapter. This
Yes.
Bhadra Purnima, I got my own Bhagavatam.
Very nice, congratulations.
Thank you so much. But Prabhuji, is it okay to read on my own? I'm really enjoying now. Last Friday I got it. I'm into the 7th chapter now. So I finished 300 pages. I'm really loving reading it. But there was mentioned there, that if we read through the spiritual master, then it is good. But I'm reading on my own. Is it okay?
You're also reading the purports, right?
Of course. That is, I'm writing down the notes also.
Yes, then it is very nice. You should also read and you should also listen. Both the things are needed. So Balgovind Prabhu also conducts every morning Bhagavatam class.
But that is in Telugu, Prabhuji.
That's the problem. You should learn Telugu then.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
But they're already into the 4th chapter.
Yeah,
So-
no problem. See, what I'm trying to tell Mataji is one, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavata also includes the book Bhagavata and the person Bhagavata. So you should read Bhagavatam. You should also serve the person Bhagavatam. And whenever there is any such gap that comes where the satsang is cancelled, try to find where else the satsang is there. Because we have to get our treatment every week, every day actually.
Yes,
So,
I love that association, Prabhuji. Seriously,
don't look for, where do you live? You live in my own zone?
My own jewel only.
That is the biggest problem because people in gated communities don't come out of the gated community.
I had come to 3 occasions, Prabhuji, in Bhakti,
go.
Gachibowli Bhakti Center. When
Not only
Chaitanya Charandas
Gachibowli.
Prabhuji came,
Yes.
then, yeah.
Mataji, why I'm trying to tell this is you have to come out of the mentality of staying within. I'm not talking you, I'm just telling in general. I see this in gated communities. Cursed people live in these gated communities because they are so complacent and so happy to live within the gated community. Tomorrow, if Krishna comes and tells, come outside, he'll tell you only come and live in the community.
But Prabhuji, we are not aware where is which has satsang happening. Now that I'm in this group, WhatsApp group, Gachibowli Satsang group, I came to know about this now.
Very
live
near,
satsang is
very
happening.
near from your place. If at all that satsang gets cancelled, If at all there is any reason satsang is getting cancelled, you can go across the road to Chandanagar. There is Aparna Society that Dasraj Prabhu is conducting almost at the same time the satsang, Sunday mornings.
Oh, is it? Okay. But okay, maybe I have to part of that group then.
Yes, I'm not saying be part of all groups. I'm saying whenever there is any cancellation, you should not cancel your satsang. Instead, you should find another place to go and attend the satsang.
Yeah. But we don't have enough information, right, Prabhuji?
Now you got.
Yeah, we'll tell somebody.
You
to
go and
inform.
spread this news to everybody. Where all there are gateways to go back to Krishna.
Mm.
Huh?
Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Satyadev Prabhu.
Shubhangi Mataji is actually doctor by profession. Both husband and wife are doctors, and still they're not taking so much time in satsang, and they're going like a rocket in a in a bhakti. So I'm
Who
just
is
wanted
this,
to.
Prabhuji?
This
Mataji,
Satyadev Prabhu.
yeah,
Oh, Satyadev Prabhuji. Okay.
Without Satyadev Prabhu, you cannot have any prasadam in any satsang. Yes. So Shubhangi Mataji, I congratulate you to be part of Balgund Prabhu satsang. Balgund Prabhu is exalted personality. If you just service feet, not living his feet, he will take you back to Godhead.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Prabhu and Matajis. Is there any other question, comment, reflection?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vanilla Mataji.
So I have a small daughter. How to develop attraction towards Krishna and his devotees?
How to develop attraction towards Krishna and his devotees is to spend time with devotees. Spend time with devotees, take up services, and help the devotees in their services. Right? How did we all get attraction towards Krishna? When we became part of Srila Prabhupada's mission. And what are Prabhupada disciples doing? They are fulfilling the mission of their spiritual master. And what we should do? We should fulfill the mission of Prabhupada disciples, because they are fulfilling the mission of Prabhupada. So the services are coming down. So we should take up services. When we take up services, we'll automatically develop attraction towards devotees and God also.
Okay. Prabhu, actually, my mind keeps giving millions of reasons to prioritize material life over spiritual life. How can I prioritize?
That is mind's business. No? Mind is doing the right thing. That's what mind does.
Yes.
But we should more strengthen our intelligence. Mataji, this is a struggle for whole life. There will never be a time when mind will not do that. Many times it will win also. Many times our senses will also make us lose our battles. But the most important thing is to continue, is to get up again and wash our face, put tilak again and start over again.
How to strengthen that intelligence?
Be with devotees.
Okay.
It's only mercy. Be with devotees. Association A, B, C, D. A, association. Association. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Same answer applies to me also. Everybody. Prabhupada himself told. Okay, so I think people are leaving now also because it's a working day. So please,
Prabhuji.
Sorry. Yes, Prabhuji.
One question, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, when you mentioned about Sadhu Sangha, that mercy of Sadhu, is it automatic when we associate with Sadhu, or is it our free will also plays a major role there?
Mercy of Sadhu comes when we want to take it. Mercy of Sadhu is there everywhere. Right? Mercy of Sadhu, when it rains everywhere. But the people who collect the water are the ones who have water. So mercy of Sadhu is there everywhere. When you go in front of a Sadhu, you have to collect that. You should put that extra effort to collect it. Otherwise, mercy will fall, it will flow away also.
Okay, but those who are ignorant, maybe they don't know the importance. Will they get mercy maybe down the line or some? Because sometimes
we distribute prasadam. That's how that spiritual life starts. Slowly they'll get attraction. Maybe this life, next life. Somewhere, some change will come. That's the reason we do prasadam. Nityam prasad seva, why are we doing?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Because so many people will get attracted eventually. See, everybody who comes in our life to become a devotee doesn't mean that They'll become a devotee in this life. They might become a devotee next life. Or in this satsang only they should become devotee. No, they might become devotee in some other satsang. We just are passing the mercy to everyone. Hare
But
Krishna.
Prabhuji, if ignoring a sadhu, is it a Vaishnava aparadha, Prabhuji?
Ignoring a sadhu is not only a Vaishnava aparadha, it's a Bhagavan level aparadha also. Because Bhagavan has sent that sadhu to you and you're ignoring him. So you're not only insulting a sadhu, you're also insulting the mercy of God.
No, not by knowingly, unknowingly. So,
What is there to be unknown, Prabhu? Knowingly people do it. There's nothing like unknowingly. Knowingly people do it. I have not seen anybody who ignores sadhus unknowingly. Sadhu is there. Don't you know he's a sadhu? He's wearing clothes also like a sadhu. Still you have a doubt?
Yeah.
He's wearing tilak. He's coming to your house. He wants to tell something and you are not interested. What is that? You cannot say unknowingly. It's knowingly there. Knowingly they're doing. That's the reason they don't get mercy. They have to wait for a long time. But still devotees are so merciful. Even for such people, they distribute prasadam.
Yeah,
we do Rath Yatra. Why? We do Jagannath Rath Yatra because we want to pass the mercy of Jagannath to everybody. Some people to ask, Prabhuji, these many people you are distributing prasad, how many are becoming devotees? It's not my business to make them a devotee. My business is to give them prasad. That's all.
Yes, Prabhuji.
They will become.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Sorry, I was hurrying up because everybody is leaving. So I congratulate everybody to be part of this class, to read this chapter, the meeting of Prithu Maharaj with the 4 Kumaras. Please read the purports. My only humble request, every purport for every verse is so elaborately written by Srila Prabhupada. Wish we had more time to finish the chapter, but thank you very much. Please bless me, please pray for me that I'll develop and continue to develop the attraction for sadhus and Vaishnavas and Vaishnava Katha. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarupasya kripasindhubhyavcha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo namo Anta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhakti Manande. Hari Hari.